So we are back with another live today, and today we have Pankhuri with us. And the topic for today's live is functional nutrition approach towards childhood obesity. I am Ria Jain. I'm the head of iThrive Academy. Pankhuri, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ria, for inviting me over here. I'm Pankhuri Purnima, and I'm a health coach at iThrive as well as an instructor at iThrive Academy. And childcare is something very precious to me. So, I've also done my master's with a specialization in public health nutrition.
That's really good to hear, and that was one of the reasons that we wanted you on board for this topic to be discussed in brief. So, coming back to the topic for today, that's functional nutrition approach towards childhood obesity. Now, we all know about obesity. We've all heard about obesity, but we often hear it in terms of adults, like obesity in adults. But there's a different phenomenon, I would say, altogether. That's childhood obesity. So, Pankuri, would you want to just put some light and let our audience know what childhood obesity actually is, and how would they, I mean, how is it identified?
Yeah. So basically, when a child is growing, they grow through many developmental changes, and their stages are very different. So many times, people or the parents think that if my child is eating so much, he's gaining weight, that is a good thing. But when the child is gaining weight more than required, or when there is some hidden fat deposition inside the body, and the child can be lethargic, the child's blood markers can be different, the child can develop insulin resistance, and many children have become prone to becoming pre-diabetic. So these are the symptoms that can be identified for childhood obesity, and this is why we say that a child should have a body weight according to his height or his own age. So the body weight should not be very much.
So that is what, yeah, Pankhuri is back. So I was just like repeating what you were saying, Pankhuri, that a child should be at an equal weight as per his height, is what you were discussing, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, so we basically wanted to discuss about the various causes and the strategies for childhood obesity. But yeah, I would like to address the parenting and the role of parenting over here. So many a times, parents are following the concept of overfeeding the child, which we will obviously discuss in the causes later. But overfeeding, infant milk substitutes, or cravings are some of the causes which can be discussed for childhood obesity. But Ria, before we go ahead, I wanted to ask you about the stats about childhood obesity in this
It's
nation or world.
actually, yeah, a really interesting point you've raised up here, Pankhuri. So most of us who've been, so there might be people who might be hearing about childhood obesity for the first time, and there might be also some of us who think that no, a child cannot be obese at all. I mean, they have this perception in their mind that the more the weight, the good it is, right? The better it is. It is a sign that a child is healthy. But there's a difference between being healthy and being obese, right? Being obese meaning would be extra fat stores in their body. There would be excess or surplus fat there would be there in the body. That's actually not healthy, and that most of the parents, they actually fail to understand, because they just want their child to be, on a higher weight side.
Higher weight.
Yes, so that is why discussing about the stats here. So stats, when I say, we're talking about the prevalence, the number of children that are obese right now. So there was this study done by NFHS back in 2017, which showed that, back in 2017, the number of obese children in India was almost around 14.4 million. So that was, so we were in 2017 the second ranked country after China. So I
Oh,
am sure that stats would have changed now, and the number would have obviously increased owing to the lifestyle, owing to the causes that we'll come to right now. So that's why it is something that needs to be, considered and noteworthy, right? It's a problem that's noteworthy, and parents should understand the difference between your child being healthy and on an overweight side or obese side, right? So that's one. I mean, that's about the statistics and the prevalence of obesity, childhood obesity in India. So let's not, I mean, waste time and get to the interesting part for today's life, which most of us
definitely,
are
definitely.
waiting for. So, having known about childhood obesity and also the very important part, the stats, for you to understand the importance of understanding childhood obesity, let's jump on to and discuss about the causes. What can be the different causes that actually make a child obese? So, for adults, we know there are a lot of causes that can make you fall prey to this problem of obesity or excess fat accumulation. But what is that happens in children that make them obese, right? So, Pankhuri, I would want to first hear from you, like what do you think and what have you studied when you say that your specialization was in public health nutrition? From that perspective, what could be the reasons for a child to become obese?
So, firstly, Ria, as you said, that the stats have increased since years and they are keeping on increasing. So, a thing related to it I would like to iterate is people or parents still think that the child is normal, and that is why the stat is increasing, even if the child is gaining weight. Children under 5 years are overweight or obese. Children aged 6 to 12 years are overweight or obese. And as a parent, we have to identify what are the factors that is causing my child to gain weight more than required. Is it lack of physical activity? Is it my over parenting or over concern leading to overfeeding? Or am I a mother who has not breastfed my baby or not breastfeeding my baby? So these are certain things which can be tremendously, impacting on this child's health. So obviously we identify the blood markers, we see the blood test and advanced test, but when we talk about the causes, since the beginning, as I said, a child goes through the developmental phases. So in an infant also, if the child is not breastfed exclusively and continued breastfeeding till 2 years of age, the child will be prone to weight gain. Now, the question comes why? Because if the mother is not giving the breast milk, she will be giving the infant milk formula or the breast milk substitutes. What are they? As the studies have shown, they contain high amounts of vegetable oils, high amounts of sugars, high amounts of preservatives. So you think that the baby's stomach is getting full, the baby is not hungry. But over a period of time, you are the one who is depositing those omega 6 and vegetable oils and sugars in the child's body. Then comes the weaning phase. When the child starts weaning, again the parents start overfeeding. The child's liver and the other organs are so less developed, they are still in the developmental phase. So that is why we say we should progress from semi solids, then solids. What are some of the parents doing? At 6 months of age, they take a bowl of rice and dal as a solid food, or vegetables as a raw salad and raw food, and they start feeding that. The child is not able to digest, and slowly the type of oil you are using, if you are cooking the child's food in these seed oils and refined oils, again you are the one who is causing harm. And when the child comes to a toddler phase, the child goes to a growth spurt. The child gains a growth spurt at the 3 years of age. There is excessive amount of energy, and that's why the toddlers show tantrums. So toddlers demand increases. Now, what the parent has to understand how emotionally and psychologically I will support my child along with the food. But what do parents do? They keep on feeding, but they're not understanding the expenditure of energy also. The amount of food you're taking has to be expended also. So, because the toddlers have high amounts of energy, you cannot keep them inside your homes. As we have seen during COVID, in the lockdown, children under 3 to 3 years of age and children under 5 years of age have gained weight after the lockdown opened. Why?
Exactly.
Because their activity decreased. And then comes the middle childhood where the school plays a very important role. Why? Because the school's canteen and the meal policies are the ones which are affecting the child's food choices. So, because of peer pressure, a child between 6 to 12 years of age would like to have those samosas and cutlets in the canteen with their friends. They wouldn't have the home cooked food and local foods in their lunch boxes. So parents have to identify the breast milk provision, the weaning foods, the toddlers' food recipes, and also the foods during a school lunch.
So
So
basically, it all starts right after the child is born.
right after the birth until puberty,
Yes,
every age is important for a child.
exactly. There's this question on, can malnutrition also lead to childhood obesity? So do you want to like put some
Yeah.
light on
Yeah, so
malnutrition?
this was something which we were about to discuss right now. So we had this point of discussion that what is malnutrition actually? This is again a misconception by many parents that they understand that a child who is lean in weight or low in weight is only malnourished, but a child who is plumpier and chubbier is a good child, is a healthy child. But malnutrition actually means either undernutrition or overnutrition. And one thing I would like to let you all know is the triple burden of malnutrition. So, right now, worldwide, every country, even in adults and children, we are going through the triple burden of malnutrition. When I talk about this, the first burden is undernutrition, the second burden is overnutrition. But can you guess what is the third nutrition or the third burden of malnutrition? Well, it's micronutrient deficiencies, Ria.
Hmm.
So, as we have worked in iThrive for many people and we focus on micronutrients a lot. So, people don't understand the value of micronutrients like vitamins and minerals. So, how much they're important for a child's energy levels, a child's metabolism, and a child's cognitive functioning. So, when these things are not there, the child can be prone to obesity. Now, why? Because when I talk about micronutrients, obviously fatty acids also come under the macronutrients, but certain components like choline. Choline is something which is important to carry the fats. That comes under the micronutrients.
Hmm.
These are so essential compounds that they help you to carry the fat and get it metabolized.
Yeah, again, like coming back to the point that you had mentioned earlier of overfeeding. So
Yeah,
in their attempt to overfeed a child, they usually forget that they are overfeeding.
micros.
Yeah, just the macros, like literally forgetting about the micros, and that has actually might have led to this triple burden of
Definitely.
malnutrition.
So when I said it's just a bowl of dal and rice or a bowl of khichdi, it would definitely have the macros
Exactly,
in the form of carbs and proteins. But how much of antioxidant or vitamins and minerals are you giving in that dal rice?
exactly. So this
And
balance is something parents need to understand.
so when you're feeding, feed the child right in terms of the amount, in terms of the nutrients, and in terms of the preparation.
All right.
So that's a very
Yeah.
huge topic to talk about,
I know
anyways.
that's a different topic altogether when it comes to malnutrition, but I hope the question is answered here. So, when it comes to malnutrition, you just don't think about. So, previously it was thought about malnutrition to be undernutrition,
Under
but
nutrition.
now overnutrition as well as undernutrition both are considered to be, states of malnutrition along with this triple burden of
Micronutrient
micronutrient
deficiencies.
deficiency. There's another question. I think that also it could be one of the causes that if the child is overeating, how should we work on their portion? Can there be
Yeah.
any other reasons why they are overeating as it can lead to childhood obesity? So of course there might be reasons. Any thing that comes to your mind, Pankhuri?
So, if the child is overeating, how should we work on the portion basically?
So
See, when
that's
we
it.
talk about
One
the
of the
portion,
reasons the child is overeating. is could be because he's craving, right? He's craving those foods, and that is what is leading him to overeat a particular food, right? So
So there
any
comes the psychological aspect also through parenting. Like certain children, if they come under the middle childhood phase, for example, 6 to 12, they undergo the peer pressure and the social changes. Their friends keep on changing every year, and
absolutely,
sometimes they can get bullied also in schools. So in international places in countries other than India, it is very common. I must not know the exact stats about India as well, but in foreign countries, bullying is a very common issue.
but I'm
When a
sure
child
about
has,
peer pressure being
yeah,
playing a major role
so when
here.
a child is not getting that emotional support at his home also through his parents or his family members, then he tends to develop the dependency over the comfort foods. So
And
there
maybe
comes the
emotional eating
consequence.
would
Yeah.
also lead to
So
overeating.
emotional eating, dealing with your traumas, he cannot share. He does not know first of all what is that feeling. They
Exactly.
are so small to understand what that feeling means of complexes. What is that inferiority complex? What is the texture of your body? What is, why are you actually bullied? They are not understanding this thing. So to feel good, they turn over the foods and they have pastries or pizzas or high sugar, high fat foods. So that is when overeating comes. And when we talk about the portions, yes, when the child is eating in front of you, at least do not tend to overfeed on any one aspect. Make a balanced meal plate
Balance.
and the colorful plate, which we say. Like kids actually love colors. So fill all the colors in the plate. It should not be only
Exactly.
yellow and white, that is dal and rice.
And I think this aspect also covers one of the other questions, that can childhood obesity cause hidden behavioral changes? I think this emotional eating and the overeating pattern that a child shows, this is something that is a behavioral change, right? This is not something normally any child would do unless there's a nutrient deficiency again,
So,
that's causing the child to crave certain foods and overeat. But this is also a behavioral change only, that the child is under some peer pressure, or he's not able to fit in, and that is why he is putting out all his behavior emotions in the form of overeating. So that also, so yes, childhood obesity can cause hidden behavioral changes. Hidden behavioral changes can cause overeating, and can could be one of the
I
reasons
was
for
just about to say
childhood
this, that it is a very
obesity.
interrelational concept. That if a
Exactly.
child is very confident in the beginning, and once he starts gaining weight, his confidence can decrease, and vice versa. Like if a child is
Absolutely.
bullied through something else and through comfort food gets on the weight gain, again the changes will come.
Absolutely. And see, apart from over eating and overfeeding, there are some causes that actually these can cause childhood obesity in children. So these could be environmental toxins. So it's
Mhm.
not just true for adults, it's for children also, because at that stage when they're growing, and when there is a lot of exposure to these toxins. So when I say toxins, I am again referring to all the junk and the processed foods that they eat. Apart from foods, the containers that they use, that they are fed in, the food is stored in, plastic, use of a lot of plastic again. These are small things, these should be taken care of right from the childhood, in
Yeah.
order to ensure good internal health. So these toxins can impact your metabolism big time. uh, Eating or indulging in sugar and sugar sweetened foods, right? These can itself be one of the causes of childhood obesity, again adding on to the fat. And gut health. So now gut health again is something that is not just true or to be taken care of in adults. Even children should be uh, assessed, and their gut should be something that needs to be taken care of, especially if a child is not breastfed. you
Yeah.
know Apart from the infant milk, sorry, breast milk substitutes that are given, the powdered formula that these children are given, uh, even if these children are not breastfed, breast milk actually helps in improving the gut health. So that way also the child has
Colostrum, that is.
exactly
Colostrum
not
itself is so helpful.
got those nutrients that the breast milk contains, and his gut would not have developed properly, the gut microbiome, the bacteria that reside in your gut, they wouldn't have they wouldn't be in the right place, and that itself can impact the metabolism just like how toxins do. So a lot of hormonal imbalances come because of these two factors of environmental toxins and your poor gut health. So again, that is something that needs to be checked on, looked into when it comes to causes, looking at the causes of childhood obesity.
Yeah.
So on and all, overeating, overfeeding, cravings and deficiencies and toxins. I wanted to also touch upon EMFs. So again, EMF exposure, not in adults, it's not only important in adults, it's important right from the childhood. It has impacts right from the
Yeah.
childhood on your body. So phones, the screens are something that you will find with every child right now. So you should like try and maintain a healthy balance, and so that is one of the causes again that can contribute to metabolic changes and obesity, childhood obesity. And so now there's a question that was asked, that can the child be at a risk of developing diabetes due to this childhood obesity? So, having discussed the meaning, prevalence, and the causes, there are certain consequences again that, if a child was obese, it has consequences in the adulthood. So, not only diabetes, he is at a risk of developing almost all of the chronic lifestyle diseases because of the metabolic changes that happened in his body as part of obesity, right? So these can really be cured. It's not that now that the child was obese and he is at a risk of CVDs, cardiovascular heart diseases, or
And
diabetes. It can really be cured by looking. Yeah, yeah. You were saying
yeah, those metabolic changes are only coming because of the micronutrient deficiencies. If the
deficiencies.
child is B complex deficient, hundreds of changes will occur because of that. If the child
Absolutely.
is magnesium deficient, again hundreds of changes will come. So you
And
have to
it's also
understand the role of different micronutrients and not only carbs and proteins. Definitely they
absolutely
are
also
important.
depends on the physical activity,
Huh.
how physically active and how often your child is sent out to play in the sun, right? So these are certain factors, small things again, but take you a long way,
Yeah.
and help the child define his adulthood.
And
So
that is why functional medicine approach is so important, that not only food, we focus on EMFs, we focus on the screen exposure that we talked, we focus on the metabolism inside and the power of food actually.
so you just not look at the food intake, but the overall lifestyle factors that
The
we
factors
discussed.
that like inflammation and toxins which we discussed.
Absolutely, yes. So that would be about the causes. And now coming to the strategies, the functional nutrition strategies. So again, these strategies would be generalized, would not be true for or would not work for each and every child, because again, functional nutrition is all about finding the cause. So having looked at the causes which are true for your child or anyone who's actually suffering from childhood obesity, right? So the first strategy, of course, would be, and I know Pankhuri would agree with me here, that the first strategy would be looking at the cause. And when I say looking at the cause, get your child's blood tested. So that's true. That's again not a adult thing that you just check or you go for blood test only in an adult to look into his internal health. Internal health of a child also needs to be looked into for the
Yeah.
patterns that he shows, that if he's obese, what could be the reasons. In order to find out the reasons, you can always get the blood tested. So that would be one of the strategies. Any other strategy to discuss, Pankhuri?
Yes, Ria. So when we talked about the blood tests, we do focus on the inflammatory markers. So if a child is prone to obese, or you think that the child is overweight at least, even if the inflammatory markers are high, maybe HSCRP or maybe ESR, these things. So we can get an idea that the child, even if the food is normal, there is inflammation which is very high. And then we can understand the causes for the inflammation. So one thing we should talk about is the inflammatory foods which should be avoided, even for
True.
the children. Now, children being high in their taste buds, they do love the Chinese foods and foods rich in soy and corn mostly. Even if gluten and dairy you avoid, What if the child is having too much of Chinese foods even at home? So it's chicken chili, it's Chinese noodles. All these things are very tempting for a kid. So we should focus on avoiding those inflammatory foods. I would say develop the alternatives for the child because you cannot alter the taste bud of a child. Children do love delicious foods and attractive foods. So there are alternatives for everything. You can
There
develop
are
the same
alternatives
food.
for each and everything that they see and that they demand. So it's upon the
Yeah,
parent again. If they are trying to find an easy option here and just trying to
yeah,
go for convenient foods or these
definitely.
fast foods, then you are definitely giving degrading your child's
You can make the
health.
homemade cakes for them. You can make the Chinese alternative, like when you
Exactly,
use cocoa minors and all. So you can obviously we have a lot of information on this. The second thing is Ria, which you only said the instant foods. So
exactly,
again comes the role of parenting. Now this is a very vast topic. Like we can hold a session differently on parenting also, but parents should understand why we should not jump to convenience. So parents jump to convenient foods. They make instant
absolutely,
soups, instant noodles. Now, when a child is a toddler, I did say that they go through a growth spurt. So when they are hungry, they won't understand they are hungry. They show tantrums. They get irritated. You think, oh, isko bhook lagi. The child is hungry. You run to the kitchen and make instantly whatever is available. There comes the role of a parent. You should be pre-prepared with the meals for a kid. You should know the meal timings for the child. What are the common timings when the child feels hungry? Some children feel hungry at 6. Some children don't feel hungry at 6
exactly.
in the
Depends
evening.
and varies from children to children.
It varies on their age, on their activity, between their social timings. So you have to understand the timings for a child and prepare the meals. So don't go for instant foods. Then comes the school policies which we discussed. So you should be aware that in which school the child is going and how is the meal policy of that school. If not, you should raise a voice for that being a parent that I want my child to eat healthy in the school also. So why not your canteens have good homemade and handmade foods actually? Why should a canteen offer the tetra package or bottled beverages in the refrigerator? So why
Absolutely.
not coconut water and some other beverages for the kids? So it's the impact of the school also on the kids and the parents. So that is one of the
Exactly.
strategy.
It's actually a very important strategy to be kept in mind that opting for convenience and instant foods would be a easy option, but then here you are giving up on your child's health big time. So try and find healthy options. Some of the foods that need to be avoided that Pankuri already mentioned would be not exposing your child to gluten as it is harmful for your gut. So gluten containing foods like wheat, maida. So these are tempting again. So
Huh.
there is alternative for everything that we are saying no to right now.
There has to be
So
efforts.
yeah, you'll just have to put in extra efforts, but then just imagine the outcome and not just focus on the extra efforts here to be taken, but the outcome would be a better health for your child, right? So that again, so there's a question on this topic that we're discussing right now: how to stop the child from eating processed or packaged products, since that is one of the major concerns when we talk about obesity. Very rightly said that how do you stop your child from eating processed or packaged food? So what is in that processed or packaged food? So it would be something like a biscuit is what a child would go for. It would be something like wafers that your child would go for. So that is what Pankhuri and I are trying to like put forth is that you have options that can be made at home. So why would a child go for a processed or a packaged product if you are making that same thing at home, right?
Yeah.
And providing him. So make your tiffins, their lunch boxes so interesting that they forget about buying anything from the canteen if your child is older enough, not for the under fives. So as Pankhuri rightly mentioned, they like colors. So try and make variations with colors, right? This is how their exposure to these processed and packaged foods would. So it starts from you. It always starts from a parent. How much effort a parent is trying to put in when it comes to making lunch. But it's not a very tedious task again.
uh,
Don't uh,
children learn so much from the parents.
exactly.
Actually,
They
there should
look
be
up
a
to you.
comfort space for the kids, even
You
for
can
the comfort
actually
foods.
they can actually involve the child himself for
Yeah,
making his own lunch box, right?
yeah.
So that would be again a very interesting activity that you can conduct with your child, right?
So that
So
the child also gets that space to open up. So God forbid, but if the child is facing some issues in the school like bullying or peer pressure, he can come up to you and share
yes,
it with you and
yes,
cook with you and have the good homemade foods with you. Why not that be a comfort food
a lot
rather
of
than sitting in the
psychological aspects also open up when you know involve your child in the activities that you are doing for them or for yourself or for the family, right?
yeah.
And there's a really good question asked here. So are health drinks like Horlicks okay? Pankuri, would you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So related to Horlicks, there are many other names. Like we would not like to go into the naming of those drinks, but yeah, many people know the
So
drinks.
so-called health drinks is the category.
So-called health drinks for children, which claim on the advertisements that our drinks are high in DHA and
Oh my
EPA.
God, yes, EPA and DHA, guys. This is
So I had this in my mind always. So just for the sake of feeding with EPA and DHA for the brain health, you are feeding loads of added sugars and preservatives in your child's gut. Why not
and
go to the animal proteins and omega 3s, the
these
fish
are readily
other
exactly,
animal
these are
sources?
readily available sources, and even if you give them in smaller quantities, which a child would
Yeah.
require,
Why
right?
not give
There's
one
a-
walnut a day rather than giving one spoon of those health drinks just for
See,
that EPA?
these people they fail to notice the food label. What they mention is in 100-gram serving you will find itna EPA and DHA. Are you going to ever in a day give your child 100 gram of that health drink? If
Yeah.
you are giving, then you are overdoing on, or you are putting other things in your child's body. You
And
never
it's your
know.
own awareness. As a parent, you have to be aware that if an advertisement is telling that my drink is rich in EPA, DHA for the brain health, why do you think that your child actually is on low IQ that you require that health drink? Your child has a normal
Absolutely.
IQ, and for that EPA and DHA, you can give the normal foods also. So why to
Yes.
add something extra with that EPA and DHA in the form of sugars and other chemicals?
Absolutely. That is what a really nice question that was asked. And
And one more thing, Ria, sorry to interrupt, but even for these drinks, there's a good alternative at home that is malts. When you
hmm,
actually roast, germinate the grains or the
yes,
legumes,
sprouts.
you make them dry after evaporating the water, and you roast them, and then you grind them. The powder which is prepared is actually the powder which name is mentioned in the comment.
It's
So
a
that
health
would be a
drink in
malt.
itself, natural health drink in itself.
So what they're claiming on the advertisement is a malted health drink, and you can prepare the malt at your home. You can
Home.
prepare the coconut milk smoothies through these malts. So they're very good for your child. The same thing which that health drink is claiming.
Exactly. So what? So all the processed options that they find outside, you can very well make them
Yeah,
at home. The smoothies, the pastries, anything that they see that they
yeah,
want can be
and
made at
prevent
home.
obesity in short.
Exactly. So yeah, I think these are the strategies that can be followed. But what you'll have to do is you'll have to first look at the root cause here, because blindly following these strategies wouldn't again help, and it wouldn't be true for your child. So always find the cause behind whatever your child is suffering from. uh, Even if it is not childhood obesity, even if it is not obesity, look at the cause. There's cause for everything, and just dragging them to healthcare practitioners and putting them on certain medicines to help him resolve the problem is not the answer. Food can be the answer. Food is the ultimate medicine. So just try and find the cause. Functional nutrition helps. Functional nutritionists help you do that. At iThrive, we have done it for a lot of children. Pankuri is our child expert here, so she can vouch for that truly. So we have helped a lot of children, not only suffering from childhood obesity, but also behavioral problems like ADHD, autism. So again, these are behaviors that a child is not showing on his own or purposely, but there is some problem that a child is suffering from that can be identified. And there's always a solution to it, and functional nutrition here can be the answer for your child. So that would be our message from today's live. Anything, any closing comments from your side?
Yes, Ria. So, one thing apart from this topic, I would like to convey to all the parents as a request is never body shame your children or never tease your children. Be their comfort, space, and psychological support so that for every good and bad, they come up to you and you can prevent them from major lifestyle diseases because, along with nutritional deprivation, the emotional factors, the socio-economic factors are a rising issue for these childhood obesity. So when you're a parent, you're not only the birth giver, you're actually the one who is raising the kid. So raise them
Exactly.
properly, be there for them, and yeah, reach out to us
And
also.
helping him show the right and the wrong, very rightly and very nicely put, Pankhuri. So thank you so much everyone for joining, asking all your questions. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to us. You can maybe put all your comments here, and the team back there can help you if you have any issue. Okay. So I
Yeah.
think that would be it from us today. We'll see you next Thursday with a different topic.
Thank you everyone, and thank you, Ria.
Thank you, Pankhuri. Yes. Bye.